Hey Dunchbags, what's going on? It's Landon Remixes here, and welcome to my review of the 7th studio album from one of my favorite bands in the world, blink-182. This one is called California. This is the band's follow-up to 2011's Neighborhoods, which was met with harsh criticism from fans due to its stark similarities to Tom DeLonge's side project Angels on Airwaves, as well as its complete abandonment of the classic Blink-182 sound. The trio also released the EP Dogs Eating Dogs in late 2012, which was well received, but not followed by any kind of album, which I was actually looking forward to. Sadly, it never came. In early 2015, Tom DeLonge indefinitely left Blink-182 to pursue some other projects, including his animated project Poet Anderson, Hunting UFOs, and of course Angels and Airwaves. In the meantime, Blink-182's Mark Hoppus and Travis Barker came together and recruited Alkaline Trio's Matt Skiba to join them for their tour, who filled in for Tom. Earlier this year, Blink-182 announced the release of California with the single Bored to Death, which was actually one of their fastest growing singles in the band's history. If you're a longtime Blink fan, you may not dig this album for a couple of reasons. One being Tom's departure from the band, and the other being that this album is in no way a nostalgia trip. California definitely does bring some fan service, but it's not overwhelming in the slightest. Classic Blink-182 purists will be more into songs like She's Out of Her Mind, Rabbit Hole, and The Only Thing That Matters, as well as the joke tracks Brohemian Rhapsody and Built This Pool, the latter of the two scratching the itch that hasn't been touched since Family Reunion in the year 2000 with its simple lyrics of, "I wanna see some naked dudes, that's why I built this pool." However, I think that this extreme lack of fan service on California only serves to better the album, as we see the band stepping into a number of new directions, especially thanks to Matt Skiba. While Mark Hoppus serves as the primary vocalist for this album, and for good reason, Matt Skiba doesn't simply take a back seat for the majority of this thing. In fact, Skiba takes the lead on a number of the album's best tracks, showing off Skiba's incredible vocal range evidenced on tracks like Cynical, which is the album's opener, Los Angeles, which is the album's big hard rock smasher, Left Alone, and the emotional San Diego, which comes later in the album. On another note, this album does step into a number of pop styles, especially evidenced on Bored to Death, and Sober, which is probably the album's biggest pop hit on this thing. Sober features a number of electronic drum samples which drive the album in certain spots, but definitely doesn't drown out Travis Barker's presence on the album. In fact, I think some of these appearances are Travis Barker's best appearances in many years. If you're a big fan of power ballads like myself and really liked Blink-182's classic I Miss You or their more recent Boxing Day, you may honestly feel pretty empty with this album. Although the soft-spoken Home Is Such a Lonely Place might satisfy that hunger a little bit, it honestly sounds a little bit more Owl City than it does Blink-182, which I liked quite a bit, but some of their older fans might not as much. When it comes to negatives, there are actually only 2 songs on this entire 16-track album that really aren't doing much for me, and that's the single No Future and the newer Kings of the Weekend, which are 2 of the most simplistic tracks on the album next to Teenage Satellites, but you have to admit that one is undeniably catchy. Lyrically, this album contrasts between mature and immature, their more mature sounding lyrics kind of directed at Tom DeLonge and his departure from the band in tracks like Bored to Death and Cynical, and of course the more immature sounds being the joke songs on Built This Pool and Brohemian Rhapsody. As for this album's overall sound, I really like the number of directions the band is stepping in, and I honestly think Matt Skiba makes for a very solid member of the band, and I'd really like to see where the band can step forward from this, although I would be completely content if this was Blink-182's last project as well. California has something for everyone, given that you're not one of those fans who refuses to listen to any of the band's new music due to its strong lack of "Where are you?" In which case your opinion doesn't honestly matter. Sorry, not sorry. I'm feeling a strong 8.5 out of 10 for this one. I think this is some of the band's best music in a long time. As for big fans of Tom DeLonge, you can still go follow his music. Like, he's making tons of music under Angels and Airwaves, but unless you wanted to see Blink-182 make another Neighborhoods album, I think his departure really was for the best. Since I primarily do EDM reviews, this album review is going to come off a a little weird to my typical viewers. I gotta be honest, I'm a huge fan of pop punk and punk rock, so blink-182 has been very influential in my music taste for quite a number of years, and even though this album review is going to come off a little weird, I think it had to be done. So if you are new to blink-182 or haven't checked this album yet, I have the Spotify link in the description so you can stream it. And if you are a fan of blink-182 or have listened to the album, make sure to let me know what you think about it in the comment section. Anyway, I'm Landon Remixes. I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I'll see you later. Peace.